Okay, we're back here in the spray booth, and I'm getting ready to dye and finish the Tiger Maple Morris chair that we did in the Mastering Woodworking show. Now, my initial concept and what I had planned to do was to use a solution of about a cup of lye to a tablespoon of lye to about a quart of water. Pretty light. But as I played with it on the maple, I liked it, but you can see I was experimenting here with all kind of different things. The problem I had, and right now as I'm looking at the monitor, it's kind of showing up green, but actually what I'd come up with was it was a little yellow, more yellow than what I wanted. Let me see if I can wet it up a little bit to bring the color back. Now that's a point. You know, particularly when you're using any kind of chemical or a dye, what it's going to look like once it dries and what it's going to look like once you get a finish on it is entirely, but you can see where it's just a little bit more yellow. Got a little, it's showing up green on the monitor. I hope it does better on the film. But that's not what I wanted. Now, let me explain why. Our cushion that we had made, this is a burgundy leather, and with the yellow, it just, I wasn't making it. But in the same token, what I was after, I wanted to accent the chair, and I wanted the chair to be a contrast, but a pleasing contrast to the cushion. That was kind of the plan all along. Now here's a board that's just a piece of tiger maple that actually some of the maple in this chair came from. And if you look at this, this is kind of what I was after. Now again on the monitor it's showing a little bit green, but it's not. But when I put this cushion against it, I've got a nice pleasing contrast and I'm highlighting the figure. Now what did I do? This concoction, if you will, is my New England maple. Now this is 1 part of General Finishes light brown dye and a 1/2 part of orange. Now I tweaked it a little bit by adding just a little, just a little bit of cinnamon. Now I've got what, 3/4 gallon here, and in this there's only 1 cup of the light brown, 1/2 cup of the orange, maybe a 1/4 cup of the cinnamon. That's it. Now, and the rest of it's just water. I just diluted it really heavy. Now one of the other things on the chair, because of all the intricacies of the chair and so forth, so on, and because we want to keep that natural, that light color and that natural look to it to complement the cushion, we did not trace coat it. We did a little bit when we were sanding to assemble. But when I say we didn't trace coat it, we did not trace coat it as we normally would a tiger maple, where we would use a darker color, sand it back, and then, you know, to really pop the figure out. Now, the reason for it is on this, the way we're going to pop the figure is with the oil. Now that said, I forgot the oil. I'll be right back. All right, what I've got here is I was asked by System 3 to test some marine varnish, spar varnish, if you will, that they've come up with, and I did. And right now it's not for retail market yet, but I tested it and I really liked it. Now everybody out here knows I'm a fan of Armor Seal, and I could take this chair and I could use some Seal Cell just as a thinner. I could also thin a little bit of Armor Seal and a gloss and put it on. Again, this is helping to build the chatoyance. That's what's going to make this chair. But again, this is an exterior spar varnish. One of the things I really liked about it in particular, now this is gloss, was when I used it for a satin. Now a lot of you know a lot of times it's hard to get a satin to lay out nice and have a nice even sheen in an oil. Well, it did. It laid out really, really nice. And I mean the sheen was, and it's a little heavy consistency. So we're probably going to thin it a little bit. So I'm not really reporting on this oil at the moment. But this is a case of I'm going to test it. And yeah, I know. You mean you're going to test it on this Morris, this Tiger Maple Morris chair? Oh yeah. I mean, if you're going to test it, you know, do it on something, the last thing you want to have to strip and refinish, but we're going to do it. So here's what's going to happen. As you've seen before, all I'm going to do is take a spray gun, soak this thing. Again, I've got water base, and it's thin with just water. Now there's a reason for that. Because I want that water, because the water is going to dry slower than a premixed stain. The second thing I'm going to do, even though this is about 3/4 of a gallon, I'm going to put about 2 ounces of Floetrol in it. Now the reason for that is I can't have this chair drying fast on me, because I've got to wipe it back and be done with it to keep that light color. So I got to move. So again, that's something that I'm not going to be able to film just because it's going to be nothing but just spraying and wiping as fast as I can go. I'm going to use paper towels to wipe it back because it's going to absorb the fastest. The reason I'm going to spray it is just so I can get the dye on there as quick as possible. And of course we got a back and an ottoman. Do it the same way. Then I'm going to put a thin version of this on it. And I'm not sure again what this is, but I do know that it really dried well, and we've tested it and it seems pretty nice. Okay, it's an exterior finish. Who cares? That just means it's even more durable and tough. UV inhibitors, all of that good stuff. So I'm going to give it a shot and see what we think. You know, I'm always looking for a new product, and I'm always looking for something that is going to help us do better in our finishing. So when we come back, this chair is going to be dyed and have a coat of this on it, and then we'll see where we go. Now, without question, I'm going to get some grain raising. I'm going to let that dry. Now what I'll do is I'll literally take a brown paper bag or piece of craft paper and wipe the chair down. It'll take a little bit of the fuzz off. But I'm not going to worry about that fuzz until I get a good coat of oil on it. At that point, that's going to harden up the fiber and whatever. Then I can gently wipe it with a piece of 600, 800, 1200, just enough to knock that fuzz off. Then we can move on with the finish. Now what's the finish going to be on it? I'm not sure yet. I haven't got that far. I do have some of this in satin. I'm real tempted to go ahead and use it all the way through as the final finish and see how it does. Just to test it out and so you guys get to see it. Again, knowledge, and particularly in finishing products these days, is a pretty big deal, because as we've talked about, it's changing a lot. All right, so what I'm going to do, again, I'm going to dye it, get a coat of oil on it, and this is Tuesday afternoon before Thanksgiving. I'm probably just going to leave it dry until after Thanksgiving, then we'll come back and finish this up. So we'll be right back.